Hello everybody, this is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagn, your rock and roll photographer. This is a Nikon D4, and today I'm going to talk about what it's like using this camera, 8 years, going strong. Are you a beginner photographer wanting to take better pictures? On this channel, we go over photography tips and tricks, photography techniques, and we talk all things photography. So please like and subscribe for new photography videos and content. So now, on to my personal Nikon D4 review. But first, a little history about Nikon full-frame professional body DSLR. Nikon first came out with the Nikon D3, which was their first outing of a professional body full-frame DSLR. And the D4, the Nikon D4, was their second outing. You know, after the Nikon D4, the D4S came out. After that, the D5, and now the D6. What a workhorse this camera's been for me. I purchased it brand new in 2012, right at launch. This camera, as of today, has 345,000 clicks, shutter count. It's been through dust storms, rain, snow, hail, you name it. It's been thrown around, kicked around, it's dropped, it's a tank. I paid $6,000 in 2012 for this camera, brand new. You know, as a professional, you want things to work accurately. When you set a focus point, for example, you want it to focus on point. You don't want to guess if the image is in focus. You don't want to guess anything. You pay that much money for a pro level, pro grade camera, and it should act and perform like a $6,000 camera. This investment in 2012 has probably paid itself out maybe 1,000 times. I've taken some amazing pictures with it. I've used it. I've abused it. This camera has a 16 megapixel CMOS sensor. It shoots about 10 to 11 frames per second. It has a native ISO of 100 to 12,800. It's weather sealed. It has an amazing battery. It has a built-in vertical grip like all professional Nikon DSLR bodies have. It has 2 camera card slots. One is an XQD card slot and the other is a CF card slot. You could take roughly about 1,000 to 1,200 pictures with this one battery alone. It takes an EN-EL18 Nikon battery. It has the HDMI port, a mic port, a headphone jack. It has an Ethernet port. The Nikon D4 is a 16 megapixel camera. And some of you might think in today's technology, it's not enough. From my personal experience, I've actually blown up 30 by 40 prints with these files. Something about the images that come out of this camera is something special. It focuses pretty quick, pretty fast. You know, it doesn't have a gazillion focus points, but that's really not an issue when shooting with this camera. One little thing about me, I'm not one of those guys where the new one comes out, I need to have the new one right away. I sell my old one, I get the new one. I know a lot of you guys out there do that, and that's okay. You really don't need to upgrade every time a new camera comes out. Like I said, I've had this thing 8 years straight. It's been a great workhorse for me. I'm very happy with it, and it just gets the job done. It's been on countless photo shoots. I've shot hundreds of weddings with this camera. It's been my main wedding shooter for years, and I couldn't be more happy with it. So 8 years with this camera, you could imagine the battle scars this body has on it. The first things to go were the Nikon rubber pieces. The rubber covers that cover the flash trigger and the port here is virtually gone. The signature red stripe rubber from Nikon by the grip is gone. The rubber on the card cover is almost coming off. You could see the glue right in there. I have a bunch of battle scars here by the ISO buttons and the faceplate, the bottom plate of the camera. You can tell I've used this thing a lot. Luckily the LCD glass is perfect. There's no major scratches there. Right under, and the glass right under that looks really good. As you could see, a little chipping right on the edge here. I don't know what that's from. Oh, a little quick story. I was shooting a wedding years back with this camera, and I go outside to take a little break. I come back out, the ring boy is literally kicking this thing across the stage. I believe it had the 24-70 on it, and I guess he thought it was a soccer ball and he was just kicking this camera. That wasn't too good, but hey, there was no problem with it after. I mean, I had my second body in my bag just in case The battery age after all these years of usage, 8 years, it's one less than new. So basically from 0 to 4, 0 being new, it's at number 1. So that's incredible. This is, I think, the original battery. The EL18 Nikon battery. You see the date right on there, April of 2012, made in Japan. And again, 350,000 shutter count. And I don't spray and pray, guys. I'm not one of those guys that just sprays and prays everywhere. Now, over the years, I've owned many cameras. This is not the only camera I have. This has been a workhorse, yes. But I've owned Nikon, Canon. The reason why I love Nikon, it's primarily their lenses, their glass. I find it very sharp and to my liking. Now, as far as Canon goes, I've always admired their colors, their skin tones. As far as file sizes on the D4, at RAW, uncompressed files are about 35 megabytes. Fine JPEG, you're probably at around 10 or less megabytes. More advanced cameras have better low light, but 3200 and below, it's pretty usable. I mean, I've shot this thing at 6000, 5000 ISO, and I've printed images. No problem, guys, no problem. At the end of the day, you're not zooming into every pixel when you're looking at a print. I wish they would have made identical card slots back in those days. I guess somebody wisened up now that D5 and the D6 have identical card slots. But with this guy, I'm kind of bummed out that I need 2 different types of cards just to do a backup on. For the amount of usage that this camera has, the buttons still feel great. They don't feel worn out and used. And believe me, I've used this camera. The menu system is your standard Nikon menu system. It's very easy to use, to get used to. I've shot with Nikons many years, so I'm very used to it. Now, this camera is not quiet, guys. If you're looking for a quiet, silent shooter, this is not your camera. If you want decent video in a professional photo camera, then it does the job. It records at 1080p at 30 frames a second, 24 frames a second. It does 720 at 60 frames a second, and so on and so forth. It doesn't shoot 4K, it doesn't have image stabilization, all that good stuff. This camera's autofocus when it comes to video sucks. Manually focus, no problem. But yeah, it has the video features just in case you need video. So that being said, in 2020, this camera is an incredible buy. If you're a beginner photographer looking to invest in a professional body, the Nikon D4 is your camera. They sell for about $1,500 in great condition. Try to find one with less battle scars as mine. And check the shutter count, guys. Very important when you're buying used gear, make sure the shutter count is as low as possible. And in Nikons, it's very easy. All you do is take a picture with the camera or tell the seller to send you a file and just check the EXIF data right on the computer. Shutter count, image number. On Nikon, it's very easy to check the usage, the miles on a camera. Canon is a little different. You need software to check that, but Nikon, thank you for making it easy. There's cameras out there, guys. There's cameras with low miles, not a scratch on them. Even if you're a professional and you want a second or third or fourth body, this thing is pretty capable. And I'm living proof that this camera was an excellent purchase back in 2012 and is still a capable camera in 2020. Before I end this video, I want to share some images and show you just how special the Nikon D4 has treated me and what a workhorse this camera was over the years. I'll be playing a track from Vendetta, my old band, Maestro Greg Horsherian on the piano. Enjoy it, guys. I want to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. If you've owned this camera, I would love to hear your stories, good or bad. That's it for me, guys. Hopefully this review helped you out. Do your due diligence on the Nikon D4. Till the next video, this is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagn, your rock and roll photographer. See ya.